Air India is the legacy carrier that represents India, and it's going through a massive change, so it'd be pretty unfair to slate them for the business class we all know is severely outdated. So why am I still concerned? Well, I'm not great with spice, and this is a country that's known for its spicy delicacies. Am I concerned? No. Is my stomach just a little?
You set my body, all on my body. You set my body, all on my body on fire. You set my body, all on my body.
A few days ago, we flew over on Lufthansa's very similar product, on board their Boeing 747-400. It's also in need of an urgent refurbishment. I then treated myself to a wonderful rest at the Andes Concept Hotel, which is part of the Hyatt Hotel Group. Only 10 minutes away, be sure to check out a review on the end of this one. The next 7 days are all about experiencing India, which is my first time, and I'm pretty excited but also trying out as many different airlines as possible, including Air India Express, Vistara, who I've heard good things about, and Air Indigo that really rocked the low-cost carrier market.
So that was an interesting experience. You have to have like a passport and electronic boarding card check, I guess because security is quite tight here. And as a result, it can take about 10 minutes if you're lucky.
Already, I'm in high spirits, because the check-in area is nicely laid out and sports the new Air India branding. But then it slightly falls to pieces when the check-in staff were chatting away and then returned to the desk not calling me forwards, and then someone took my spot.
We're off to not the best of starts. So despite being business class, it wasn't the most welcome and warm of introductions.
And having made it through what was a very easy passport control, I'm still lingering on the check-in.
I read an article yesterday that was saying that the new CEO of Air India is basically trying to improve and change it. And it's almost like it started from scratch. Coming from the check-in point of view, it wasn't a great start because there wasn't really a welcome. It seemed like a very average experience, and that's something they could hugely improve on. The lady actually on the entrance to business class was really nice, but otherwise a bit meh.
Perhaps things will improve when I head to Air India's dedicated lounge, which is just on the upper level. And having seen the queue for the third-party lounge, my advice would be to pre-book, or face disappointment. I really don't like moaning, because travel is a luxury and I really enjoy it, but the lady at the check-in desk for the lounge was acting like she was doing me a favour. She also seemed a little bit frustrated when I asked her how I could access the Wi-Fi. At least the food offering is reasonable and the lounge won't win design awards, but it had plenty of comfortable seating and felt cosy. Timing your flights right is always a bit of a game, because you can't trust how big the security lines will be, and I didn't want to be late for the flight, but to be honest, I'm slightly regretting getting here so early. I'll just note that the model airplane on the check-in desk of a Boeing 787 was pretty cool, and I managed to get a pretty good cup of tea, complete with the Air India logo. But to be honest, I'm edging on the side of boredom, so I'm off in search of some entertainment.
So for original lounge, that was pretty good for domestic flights anyway. Nice selection, local food, good tea.
Unlike Hyderabad at the end of our trip, which is a brand new terminal, this is just your bog standard airport. There are a few nice features like this statue, and a special mention to the gardeners because that must take a lot of planning. So I'm sort of resorting to my usual entertainment of looking out the window at those pretty planes. As well as trying to find the Boeing 777-300 I'll be flying on today. Not bad for a domestic route, even if the product isn't cutting edge. I admit I had a lot of free time, partly because the flight was delayed. So I returned to the lounge for one more cup of tea. So to fill time, let's see what today's journey involves. Departing Delhi at 16:50, flight number 544 takes just over 2 hours to reach Hyderabad, covering a distance of 776 miles. This clip of the departure board was taken a while ago, and actually we're boarding about 20 minutes late. But luckily, it's time to get on board. Air India takes queuing not very seriously. But on the plus side, I've spotted the beauty that will carry us to Hyderabad. It's not quite as refined as the new livery, but there's something quite fun and playful about it. At first, Gate 28 felt pretty relaxed, but the moment boarding was announced, hundreds of people descended the gate, and it suddenly turned pretty chaotic. This isn't a normal experience in India, and I didn't have the same issue with other airlines during my trip. It just felt like there was a sudden desperation for everyone to board at the same time, and no one was controlling the queue. Now is a great time to look at the seat map, because their existing layout needs careful consideration when choosing a seat. At the very front is a single row of first class suites, in a 1-to-1 configuration. Behind this are 3 rows of business class in a not so comfortable 2-3-2 layout. And behind the second door are a further 2 rows of business class. I didn't realise it at this point and I still can't believe my luck, but it turns out I was the only passenger in the whole of this section.
This may not be the most modern product, but on a domestic route, this is incredible.
Wide-body planes on short routes are great for the passenger experience, although for the airline it's a bit of a cost game, because the cost of running it is higher, but it saves on the parking fees when not on long-haul routes. You only have to look at when I flew Finnair's Airbus A380 from Amsterdam to Helsinki. What an incredible upgrade that was. But I can't help but feel on today's flight, if the other 13 seats weren't empty, it would have been a very different experience.
Now that's a first, having a whole section to myself. So you get a complimentary pillow, which is in beige.
The pillow is a little bit on the small side, and not very firm. Actually, I take that back, it's very, very soft. And a blanket which seems on the small side, but to be honest for a 2-hour flight, I don't really need either. There's also a pack of headphones, which are in-ear, so the quality is going to be poor. I really need to start bringing my own. One member of cabin crew almost seems a bit suspicious of me, but the other is really keen, smiley and proactive, and it feels more like the service on Qatar. I've been offered a hot towel, which is a great start, particularly for such a short route, and a welcome drink. I don't know what it is, but it sort of reminds me of goat's cheese. Not amazing, but it has an interesting texture. Despite having a brand new and wonderful safety video, this Boeing 777 is loaded with the old one. I won't show you that because it really doesn't reflect the new Air India.
Namaste.
The current business class seats are at least 13 years old, and it really shows. I can get over the colour scheme, but we've moved towards privacy, and if it isn't in a 1-to-1 configuration, it's just not competitive. Luckily, Air India's made a plan for its overhaul, and this marketing video is a good indication of what will become the standard over the next 5 years. There is plenty of leg room, and I think when in the flat mode, your feet sort of sit in that little nook, just below the seat in front. There is a drinks table in between which isn't very aesthetically pleasing, and a plug socket which sort of looks universal. In honesty, the seats are rather plush and pretty comfortable, and given how old they are, they've survived pretty well. Some much newer seats out there in the world already look like they've been chewed by a dog. When it comes to the in-flight entertainment screen, considering this is 14 years old, it's actually a pretty decent size, even by today's standards. The downside being it's quite far away, and the maximum brightness just wasn't enough when you're at 30,000 feet with the sun coming through the window. And because it is so far away, I became best friends with the remote control, which is the left-hand armrest, partly because every time you finish a TV show, it won't autoplay the next episode. The interface is showing its age, but it's not terrible. The icons were a reasonable size, and even if you're not into Bollywood, there was enough content for this 2-hour flight. With only 6 movies though, you're going to struggle on the long haul routes. I take that back, including the classic movies, there's 12 in total. In fairness to Air India raising the bar, they did provide this lovely paper menu, which had a few different interesting items. I wasn't panicking, but unlike the locals, I'm a wimp when it comes to spice. Anything more than a British version of Madras starts my forehead sweating. Luckily, the member of cabin crew who was more than smiley was eager to talk through the menu, recommending I try the chicken Raja roast, and if it was too spicy, she'd be more than happy to make something else. It may not be lobster, but actually it was pretty good, and I quite enjoyed the presentation. Just in case it is too spicy, it luckily comes with a passion fruit dahi baha, which will cool your mouth. The meal comes with an optional vegetable bhaji, which was good for dipping in the sauce. And to finish was this very pretty chocolate brownie in orange sauce, which I didn't even recall myself eating because I was enjoying it so much. I will just add that the sauce was quite light and not overpowering. Air India doesn't have a signature drink, but various fruit juices are available, and besides exporting a huge quantity of tea, it's India's most popular drink. And I can see why. In the UK, a cup of tea is a solution to anything: divorce, a bad day at work, or just something to watch TV with. Something us Brits go crazy for. In fact, it's so popular in India that they consume 837 tonnes every year. So it's no surprise they make a good cup of tea. And having consumed every last drop, there's one thing left to do, and that's visit the bathroom. I don't know what Air India's strategy would be for the next 5 years, but if it's anything like other airlines like Cathay Pacific and American Airlines, I'd expect them to retrofit their 777s with the new product, and maybe upgrade the bathrooms at the same time. Besides being a standard bathroom, the only thing worth mentioning is the large mirror, that makes it just feel that little bit less claustrophobic. Ideally after dinner, you should go for a long walk, which really helps your digestion, but that's not always possible on a plane, so I'll just make myself a little bit cozier and recline the seat to see what it'd be like on a long haul route. And at 21 inches in width, this is more than comfortable. It's just not very private, and where do you put your shoes? I would imagine on a full flight this could be quite awkward, trying to put them on when ultimately you need the bathroom. With 1 hour to go, the sun is fading, and I've nearly exhausted the available episodes of Bob's Burgers. With the light decreasing rapidly, the cabin is filled with a very vibrant purple that hides the otherwise beige and yellow interior, feeling more like the coolest bar in town than an airplane. We'll get to the conclusion momentarily, but I still don't know if they were short of gates, but having stared at the jet bridge out the window to see when it starts moving, was suddenly made aware that today's flight will end with a bus gate. This won't suit those in a hurry, but I'm more than happy because I get the rare opportunity to see the plane from the ground.
So, it's an airline that I could easily say this is wrong, that needs improvement, but I actually had a good time, and the food was good. The seat was quite impressive. I think it's the same as Lufthansa's. It's got that 232 config. It was very comfortable in the flat mode, very comfortable sitting up. Cabin crew were really good, very smiley, very happy. Big positive there. I'm quite excited to see how they progress in the future, because there is a 7 billion injection into the company, and I can't wait to see what they'll be like in the next 5 years. Thank you so much for watching.